forgive me if I stick to the script here a little bit before the next part. Today I'm acting to declare this farm, all that lives on it and above it, this air, this rain, everything on this farm off limits from shale gas extraction and its toxic impacts in perpetuity. Some will say that what we do here today is against the law, but I say this, that I act in the spirit of the founders of this nation, who proclaimed in our Declaration of Independence that, quote, the laws of nature and nature's God, unquote, entitled them to throw off the oppression of the British Crown. We all act to throw off the oppression manifesting itself in the threat of fracking for methane gas, an extreme form of fossil fuel extraction. That's really representative of a much bigger oppression that's bearing down on all of us. As we know, there's an increasing collusion between corporate power and the governmental powers of the United States of America.
Yes.
The flag beside me is losing its potency as a symbol of justice and freedom. The republic for which that flag stands is being bought and sold as though being traded on some commodities market. We're losing our democracy. Governments are protecting corporations, not people. Seeing energy companies dictate laws such as the recently passed Act 13, I can now understand better what our nation's founders discovered in trying to negotiate with the British Crown. Act 13 is a corporate-sponsored form of organized crime perpetrated upon the people and the democracy of Pennsylvania, written by politicians purchased for that purpose by lubricious campaign contributions that exceeded $4.4 million in the last cycle. Three of the people that were invited here today, Representative Smith, Senator Scarnati, and their Governor Corbett, accounted for 60% of those donations of $4.4 million, along with the Republican Pennsylvania Committee. They are also the gold sponsors of, the gas companies are the gold sponsors of the Pennsylvania State Association of Township Supervisors. This stuff is all over the place and it's killing us as a people and as a democracy. We're systematically being colonized by multinational corporations who give no quarter. There's come a time then when negotiation is capitulation, when our petitioning for redress in the most humble of terms, as our founders said, has failed, and when repeated petitions are being met with repeated injury. The America we love is fast becoming America Incorporated, a wholly owned subsidiary of faceless corporations that get to speak with money, to get the politicians they want, to make the laws they need, to despoil our environment, and even what we eat for exorbitant profits. Monsanto is buying up and patenting our seed stock and poisoning us with their genetically engineered crops. The USDA and the Food Safety Administration, at the behest of the industrial food lobby, are preventing the labeling of genetically modified food products that more than 90% of Americans want to see labeled. And then corporations like Chesapeake Energy and Range Resources and Consol Energy and Exco Resources, many others are being given license to run roughshod over local zoning protections, and their transgressions against water and air and human and animal life are being shielded by court gag orders. PNC and other banks are financing mountaintop removal of coal that's destroying entire ecosystems in West Virginia. So our political leaders, beholden as they are to corporations to fund their campaigns, refuse to lead us out of a fossil fuel era that's warming our planet, out of an era in which chemical contamination of our environment is poisoning our food, all for corporate profits. Species are disappearing by the hundreds each year, and our own humankind are finding themselves dealing more and more with the calamities of climate change. Act 13 codifies injuries against our democracy and our earth itself. It was an outright victory for the shale army, of which one energy executive boasted. The shale army has arrived. Resistance is futile. But you know, resistance is not futile.
That's right.
The shale army will find out that soon enough. And we're going to take some more losses at their hands, but they're going to find out that resistance is not futile. In fact, resistance can be liberating.
Amen. Woo!
And you know what? It's a little scary, like the folks who wrote the Declaration of Independence, knowing that war was at hand, and they ended on that somber note, appealing to the supreme judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions. And then they closed with these beautiful words. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. That's what today is for me. And I dare say for many of you gathered here with me, we are pledging to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. Maybe even our liberty at times will be required of us as we resist the shale army. But you know what? We're willing to pay those costs. We're going to pledge all that to nature and to our fellow human beings who are part of nature, God's nature. And you know what? We're even going to pledge it to those who perpetrate the harm, our brothers who are not here today. This is also for them, even though they don't know it. And we're going to put all of that into this fight, and we're going to risk it without any assurance of victory. But I believe we will be victorious. Because we know we need a new paradigm for living on this earth. Our individual acts of resistance, our group acts of resistance, such as this one coming together, must be part, as Ben and others are talking about, as Aaron and others are talking about, of an organization to create a foundation of law based on the rights of nature. Today, as the ashes of my wife Lucinda's body join this earth, the rights of all living beings who are sustained by the clear, clean water that runs upon and below it are declared to be inalienable rights by which human affairs are to be conducted. There is now, and from this day forward, there shall forever be, an impermeable love present below our feet that forms a barrier that no shale gas drilling rig can penetrate. Any property right that anyone claims to destroy the good earth of Pennsylvania that belongs to no one because it belongs to all of us is hereby declared null and void.
Yes.
Amen.
Now, I just want to say we did, in the spirit of nonviolent action, invite those who are our adversaries here, those who choose not to protect nature. Senator Scarnati, Speaker Smith, Brett Harvey of Consol Energy, Douglas Miller of Exco Resources, and even Mr. and Mrs. Larry Burkett, who own the gas rights, or according to the laws of the land these days, supposedly have a deed to gas below us. And I want to say, even though he's not here, but in absentia, that with Senator Scarnati in particular, I've tried for 2 years to help him understand the suffering that is afflicting people and animals with this drilling. And the only answers I've gotten from him are silence and insult. He's refused to take in any information about that, those sicknesses. In fact, and this is why I mentioned him at all today, because I want this on the record, Senator Scarnati blocked a $2 million fund. It wouldn't have been enough, but it would have been a start, a $2 million fund to develop a health registry that would track cases of people who are being sickened.
I don't want that.
Today, as Iris told us, we have news accounts of over 115 such cases. But for Senator Scarnati, he refuses to pay attention to those. For him, these truly are the disappeared ones. And so, in a sense, if he was here, I'd say to you, sir, I pity you, sir, but you may not believe this, but I pray for you every single day. In the next part of this, I was going to read a poem called Look Out by Wendell Berry. And if y'all are not in too big a hurry, I think I'd like to read it.
Please read it.
Please. The sun's out.
Read it.
Please do.
Because Wendell, my fellow farmer, writer, wish I knew him in person, lovely human being, has said it so well, what it is that we're dealing with here today. This poem is called Look Out. Come to the window, look out, and see the valley turning green in remembrance of all springs past and to come. The woods perfecting with immortal patience the leaves that are the work of all time. The sycamore whose white limbs shed the history of man's life with their old bark. The river quivering under the morning's breath like the touched skin of a horse. And you will see also the shadow cast upon it by fire, the war that lights its way by burning the earth. Come to your windows, people of the world. Look out at whatever you see wherever you are, and you will see dancing upon it that shadow. You will see that your place, wherever it is, your house, your garden, your shop, your forest, your farm, bears the shadow of its destruction by war, which is the economy of greed, which is plunder, which is the economy of wrath, which is fire. The lords of war sell the earth to buy fire. They sell the water and air of life to buy fire. They are little men grown great by willingness to drive whatever exists into its perfect absence. Their intention to destroy any place is solidly founded upon their willingness to destroy every place. Every household of the world is at their mercy. The households of the farmer and the otter and the owl are at their mercy. They have no mercy. Having hate, they can have no mercy. Their greed is the hatred of mercy. Their pockets jingle with the small change of the poor. Their power is the willingness to destroy everything for knowledge, which is money, which is power, which is victory, which is ashes sown by the wind. So leave your windows and go out, people of the world. Go into the streets. Go into the fields. Go into the woods and along the streams. Go together, go alone. Say no to the lords of war, which is money, which is fire. Say no by saying yes to the air, to the earth, to the trees, yes to the grasses, to the rivers, to the birds, and the animals, and every living thing, yes to the small houses, and yes to the children, yes.